Last Tuesday morning, a 72-year-old woman named Dorothy stood frozen at the Denver airport security checkpoint. In her hands was an empty plastic bin. In the TSA officer's hands was her late husband's pocket knife, a small silver blade he had carried for 40 years. She had forgotten it was tucked inside her purse. Dorothy watched as the officer placed it into a clear container with dozens of other surrendered items: nail clippers, scissors, a snow globe from someone's vacation. Her husband's knife would never come home again. This scene plays out thousands of times every single day at airports across America, and the people losing their belongings most often are travelers over 60. Not because they are breaking rules on purpose, but because the rules themselves have become a maze that catches even the most experienced flyers off guard. What makes this situation particularly frustrating is that most of these items are not actually dangerous. They are everyday objects that seniors have packed for decades without any problems. Objects that suddenly became prohibited under regulations many travelers never knew existed. The Transportation Security Administration processed over 900 million passengers in 2024 alone. Among those travelers, agents collected millions of voluntarily surrendered items at checkpoints nationwide. The most common casualties include oversized liquids, pocket knives, multi-tools, scissors exceeding 4 inches, and various grooming products that exceed the liquid restrictions. For older travelers, certain categories of items tend to cause the most trouble. Understanding what these are and why they trigger confiscation can save you from losing something valuable or sentimental during your next trip. The first category involves liquid medications and personal care products. The TSA 311 rule remains in full effect throughout 2026. This means any liquid, gel, cream, paste, or aerosol in your carry-on bag must be 3.4 ounces or smaller. Every container must fit inside a single quart-sized clear plastic bag. 1 bag per passenger. Here is where seniors frequently run into problems. That bottle of arthritis cream you have been using for years probably exceeds the limit. The large tube of denture adhesive likely does too. Your preferred brand of sunscreen almost certainly violates the restriction unless you purchased a travel size version. The mistake most people make involves container size rather than actual contents. Even if your lotion bottle is nearly empty, agents evaluate the container itself. A 6-ounce bottle with 1 ounce remaining still gets confiscated. The printed number on the packaging determines its fate, not how much product sits inside. Prescription medications receive special treatment, but the rules still confuse many travelers. Liquid medications exceeding 3.4 ounces are technically permitted in carry-on bags. However, you must declare them separately to the screening officer before the inspection begins. Keep prescription labels visible whenever possible. Bring a doctor's note for unusual quantities or medical devices. Insulin, eye drops, and liquid supplements fall under the medical exemption category. But many seniors discover this exemption requires proactive communication. Walking silently through the checkpoint with a large bottle of undeclared liquid medication can trigger additional screening, delays, and potential confiscation if agents cannot verify the contents. The key is declaring these items before placing your bag on the X-ray belt. A simple statement to the officer prevents most medication-related complications. The second major category involves sharp objects and tools. This is where pocket knives, sewing kits, and grooming supplies create the most heartache. Knives of any length remain completely prohibited in carry-on luggage. That includes the tiny blade attached to your keychain, the small folding knife you use for opening packages, and any multi-tool containing a blade component. Scissors under 4 inches measured from the pivot point are technically permitted. But many seniors carry full-size scissors for various reasons and end up surrendering them at security. Nail clippers remain allowed, yet the attached nail file sometimes triggers additional inspection depending on its length and sharpness. Knitting needles and crochet hooks generally pass through security without issues, but circular knitting needles occasionally raise questions from agents unfamiliar with the hobby. The same applies to sewing needles, which are permitted but may require explanation during random bag checks. Tools present another common problem area. Hand tools measuring 7 inches or less from end to end may travel in carry-on bags. Anything larger belongs in checked luggage. Screwdrivers, wrenches, and pliers fall under this rule. Power tools, regardless of size, cannot travel in the cabin under any circumstances. The third category causing frequent senior confiscations involves food items and spreadable substances. The TSA treats anything spreadable as a liquid, regardless of how solid it appears. Peanut butter, cream cheese, hummus, and yogurt all fall under the 311 restriction. So do jams, jellies, canned goods, and salsa. Many grandparents traveling to visit family bring homemade preserves or special foods from home. These items almost always exceed the liquid limit and face confiscation at security. The solution involves packing such items in checked luggage or shipping them separately before your trip. Duty-free purchases create another confusing scenario. Liquids purchased after the security checkpoint may be carried onto your flight in most cases. However, connecting flights that require passing through security again often result in confiscation of those same items. International travelers returning to the United States face particularly strict enforcement upon re-entry. That expensive bottle of wine you bought in Europe may not survive your connection in New York. The fourth category involves batteries and electronic devices. Power banks and spare lithium batteries cannot travel in checked luggage due to fire safety regulations. They must remain in your carry-on bag where cabin crew can monitor them. However, power banks exceeding 100 watt-hours require airline approval before flying. Many seniors carry portable chargers for medical devices, phones, or tablets. Larger capacity units often exceed the standard limit without travelers realizing the restriction exists. Check the watt-hour rating printed on your power bank before traveling. If it shows more than 100 watt-hours, contact your airline in advance. Electronic devices themselves must be functional when requested. TSA officers may ask you to power on laptops, tablets, or phones during screening. Devices that will not turn on may be prohibited from flying. Keep your electronics charged before arriving at the airport. A dead phone battery should not prevent you from reaching your destination, but it might cause significant delays while officers investigate further. The fifth category involves medical equipment and mobility aids. While most medical devices receive accommodation at security checkpoints, certain items still cause unexpected delays. CPAP machines, nebulizers, and oxygen concentrators require removal from their cases for separate X-ray screening. The liquids used with nebulizers fall under medical exemption but must be declared. Wheelchairs, walkers, and canes all undergo screening at TSA checkpoints. Agents have discovered prohibited items hidden inside mobility devices over the years, making thorough inspection standard procedure. All bags or pouches attached to wheelchairs must be removed and placed on the X-ray belt separately. Metal implants, including pacemakers, artificial joints, and surgical pins, will trigger metal detectors. Inform the TSA officer about any implants before stepping through the detector. You can request alternative screening methods if metal detector passage causes concern with your particular device. Carrying a medical card from your doctor explaining your implants helps communicate necessary information quickly during screening. Now I want to share something important with you. If navigating all these rules feels overwhelming, you are not alone. Thousands of seniors contact me asking about airport procedures, hidden fees, and how to protect themselves from expensive mistakes. That is exactly why I created the Airport Survival Guide. It covers everything from packing strategies that prevent confiscation to dealing with flight delays, airline fees, and medical emergencies while traveling. The link is in the description below and pinned in the comments. It walks you through dozens of scenarios that catch travelers by surprise every single day. Let me continue with more confiscation triggers that affect seniors specifically. The sixth category involves replica items and objects resembling weapons. Toy guns, decorative swords, and ornamental knives face automatic confiscation regardless of their obvious harmlessness. The TSA expanded its definition of prohibited items to include anything that could be mistaken for a weapon during X-ray screening. Grandparents frequently travel with gifts for grandchildren that fall into this category. Toy firearms, foam swords, water guns, and even certain action figures trigger security responses. Belt buckles shaped like weapons, decorative canes concealing blades, and novelty items resembling explosives all face removal. The seventh category involves seasonal and holiday items. Snow globes exceeding 3.4 ounces cannot pass through carry-on screening. Large decorative candles containing gel fall under liquid restrictions. Wrapped presents may be opened for inspection if they trigger alarm during X-ray scanning. Fireworks of any kind remain completely prohibited from aircraft. This includes sparklers, firecrackers, and even small novelty poppers. The same applies to flares, strike-anywhere matches, and certain lighters. One disposable lighter per passenger is generally permitted in carry-on bags, but cannot travel in checked luggage. The eighth category involves food-related liquids that surprise travelers. Maple syrup, honey, and olive oil all fall under liquid restrictions. Wine, spirits, and craft beers purchased before security will be confiscated. Soups, sauces, and gravies cannot travel in carry-on bags regardless of container size. Ice packs and gel cooling pads require special consideration. They must be frozen solid when passing through security. Partially melted or liquid ice packs count against your liquid allowance and may be removed. Medically necessary cooling packs for insulin or other medications receive exemption when properly declared. The ninth category involves grooming products and toiletries. Full-size bottles of shampoo, conditioner, and body wash face certain confiscation. Aerosol deodorants, hairspray, and shaving cream cans exceeding 3.4 ounces belong in checked luggage only. Straight razors and safety razor blades cannot travel in carry-on bags. Disposable razors and cartridge razor systems remain permitted. Electric razors and beard trimmers generally pass through without issue, but may receive additional inspection during random screening. Nail polish technically qualifies as a liquid and falls under the 3-1-1 rule. Large bottles face confiscation while travel sizes pass through normally. The same applies to perfume, cologne, and aftershave. The 10th category may surprise you because it has nothing to do with objects in your bag. It involves what you wear to the airport. In January 2025, Spirit Airlines implemented stricter dress code enforcement that other carriers are now following. Passengers have been denied boarding for wearing shorts deemed too short, crop tops showing midriffs, clothing with offensive messages, and see-through garments that expose private areas. A woman named Tanasia Grayer made headlines in July 2025 when Spirit Airlines refused to let her board a flight from Miami to Chicago because of her shorts. She had worn similar outfits on previous flights without any issues. The inconsistent enforcement creates confusion for travelers who never expected their clothing choices to affect their ability to fly. Every major airline includes dress code provisions in their contract of carriage. American Airlines states passengers must dress appropriately and prohibits bare feet and offensive clothing. Delta bans attire that creates an unreasonable risk of offense or annoyance to other passengers. United and Southwest have similar policies restricting lewd, obscene, or offensive clothing. Hawaiian Airlines provides the most detailed guidelines, specifically banning bikini bottoms, speedos, bare feet, and requiring upper torsos to be covered. The common thread across all carriers involves three main restrictions. Passengers cannot board barefoot. Clothing must adequately cover private areas. Garments displaying offensive messages, images, or symbols may result in denied boarding. For seniors, this category matters because enforcement depends entirely on individual employee judgment. What one gate agent considers acceptable might offend another. Clothing that passed inspection on your outbound flight might trigger problems on your return. The safest approach involves choosing neutral, comfortable clothing without controversial messages or revealing cuts. A simple outfit of long pants, closed-toe shoes, and a plain shirt virtually guarantees no clothing-related boarding issues. Understanding what happens after confiscation helps put these losses in perspective. The TSA does not technically confiscate your belongings. Instead, travelers voluntarily surrender items they cannot bring through security. This legal distinction matters because it limits recovery options. Once surrendered, items go to state surplus agencies in most cases. Some airports operate kiosks allowing travelers to mail items home for a fee. Others provide storage lockers near security for short trips. But the vast majority of surrendered items never return to their original owners. Certain items receive different treatment. Firearms discovered at checkpoints trigger immediate law enforcement response. TSA can impose civil penalties up to $17,000 for gun violations. Illegal substances result in arrest and criminal charges handled by local authorities. These consequences extend far beyond simply losing the item itself. Several strategies can help seniors avoid losing important items at security checkpoints. First, check your bags thoroughly before leaving home. Empty every pocket, pouch, and compartment in luggage you have used previously. Items from past trips often remain hidden in forgotten corners. The knife Dorothy lost had likely been sitting in her purse for months or years before that fateful security screening. Second, use the TSA website and mobile app to verify specific items before packing. The agency maintains a searchable database covering thousands of products. When uncertain about any item, the Ask TSA service provides answers through social media and messaging platforms within minutes. Third, pack questionable items in checked luggage rather than carry-on bags. Most prohibited carry-on items travel freely in checked bags with proper packaging. Knives must be sheathed or wrapped. Sharp objects require protection to prevent injury to baggage handlers. Liquids of any size may travel in checked luggage without restriction. Fourth, arrive at the airport early enough to handle unexpected situations. Extra time allows you to check a bag if security identifies prohibited items. It also reduces stress during the screening process itself. Rushed travelers make more packing mistakes and face greater consequences when problems arise. Fifth, consider investing in TSA pre-check if you fly more than twice per year. The expedited screening program costs $85 for 5 years and significantly reduces checkpoint stress. Pre-check travelers keep shoes, belts, and light jackets on during screening. Laptops and liquids remain inside bags. Sixth, separate all liquids and electronics before reaching the checkpoint. Having these items readily accessible speeds up the screening process and reduces the chance of missed items triggering bag searches. The emotional impact of losing meaningful items at security checkpoints deserves acknowledgement. For Dorothy and countless travelers like her, these objects carry significance beyond their practical value. Family heirlooms, gifts from loved ones who have passed, and items associated with important memories all end up in TSA surrender bins every day. No regulation requires surrendering sentimental items, but the choice often comes down to keeping the object or making your flight. With proper planning and awareness, these difficult decisions become avoidable. The TSA operates under federal security mandates designed to protect all passengers. Agents do not create these rules. They simply enforce policies established by Homeland Security authorities. Expressing frustration toward individual officers accomplishes nothing positive and may result in additional scrutiny. When disagreements arise at checkpoints, request a supervisor calmly. Document any items surrendered and circumstances surrounding the interaction. File complaints through official TSA channels if you believe procedures were not followed correctly. Looking ahead through 2026, several changes may affect senior travelers specifically. The Real ID enforcement that began in May 2025 continues creating complications for those without compliant identification. Beginning February 1st of this year, travelers lacking proper ID must pay a $45 fee and complete an identity verification process to board domestic flights. Enhanced screening technology continues expanding to more airports nationwide. Advanced imaging systems detect threats more effectively while potentially reducing pat-down frequency. These machines also identify prohibited items with greater accuracy, making concealment attempts increasingly futile. Airline carry-on restrictions are tightening beyond TSA requirements. Many carriers now weigh bags at the gate and charge fees for oversized or overweight carry-on luggage. Packing lighter benefits both security compliance and airline fee avoidance. Dress code enforcement appears to be increasing across multiple carriers, following Spirit Airlines' lead in 2025. Travelers should expect more scrutiny of their clothing choices at boarding gates throughout 2026. The most important takeaway from everything discussed today is this: preparation prevents problems. Knowing what you can and cannot bring through security eliminates surprises at the checkpoint. Taking time to properly pack your bags saves meaningful items from becoming statistics in the TSA surrender count. Flying does not have to mean losing your belongings or facing humiliating searches. Armed with accurate information and reasonable expectations, senior travelers can navigate airport security confidently. The system favors those who understand its rules. Your next flight can be different from Dorothy's experience. Her husband's pocket knife represented decades of memories compressed into a small silver blade. One moment of forgotten awareness erased its presence from her life forever. Learning from her story means ensuring your own treasured items complete the journey with you. Before I wrap up, let me address some frequently asked questions that senior travelers send me regularly. Can I get my surrendered item back after security? Unfortunately, the answer is almost always no. Once you voluntarily abandon an item at a TSA checkpoint, recovery becomes essentially impossible. Some airports partner with mailing services near security, allowing you to ship items home before surrendering them. But this option requires time and money that most travelers lack in the moment. What if I accidentally packed something prohibited? Honesty works best in these situations. Inform the officer immediately if you discover a forgotten item during bag search. Attempting to hide or retrieve prohibited items creates far worse outcomes than voluntary surrender. Cooperation demonstrates good faith and typically results in faster resolution. Do TSA agents ever steal surrendered items? While isolated incidents occur in any large organization, systematic theft remains uncommon. Surrendered items hold relatively low monetary value compared to the employment risk agents would face. Most confiscated belongings end up at state surplus auctions or get donated to various agencies. Can I request a supervisor if I disagree with an officer's decision? Absolutely. You have the right to request supervisory review of any screening decision. However, supervisors rarely overturn prohibited item determinations. The better strategy involves understanding rules before arriving at the checkpoint rather than debating them during screening. Are there items that seem prohibited but are actually allowed? Yes, several common items surprise travelers with their permitted status. Knitting needles, crochet hooks, and sewing needles travel freely in carry-on bags. Disposable razors pass through security without issue. Scissors under 4 inches remain permitted. Why do rules seem to change between airports? TSA officers maintain discretion in applying security guidelines. Items that pass through one checkpoint may trigger concerns at another. Regional differences and individual officer interpretation contribute to inconsistent experiences. The human element of airport security deserves recognition. TSA officers process hundreds of passengers daily under significant time pressure. Patience benefits everyone during security screening. Travelers who remain calm and cooperative typically experience faster processing times than those who argue or complain. Consider documenting valuable items before traveling. Photographs showing serial numbers and receipts proving purchase dates help support insurance claims if items go missing. One final thought about Dorothy and her husband's pocket knife. She told me the loss hurt more than any monetary value the blade represented. 40 years of memories attached to a small piece of metal disappeared in seconds because of forgotten awareness. Her story teaches an important lesson. The items we value most deserve our most careful attention when traveling. Taking 5 extra minutes to inspect every pocket and compartment before leaving home costs nothing. Losing something irreplaceable costs everything. Your belongings tell your story. Protect them with the attention they deserve. Thank you for watching today. If this information helped you understand what TSA takes and why, please subscribe to this channel so you receive notifications when airport rules change again. Forward this to anyone you know planning travel in the coming months. Together, we can help more seniors navigate security checkpoints successfully. Wishing you smooth travels ahead and safe returns home.